you want to learn how to make jewelry? Today I'm going to show you how to open and close jump rings. Jump rings are these little wire loops that make all the connections in jewelry. It's a really fundamental skill to learn within the art form, and it's a great place to begin learning the art of making jewelry, because everything that you do in jewelry needs to be connected somehow. So from a goldsmith all the way to a hobbyist, even working with beads, you really need to know how to create these connections or assemble things with these connections so that you can complete some jewelry. And so I have some really cool pieces here on my mat to show you that all the different chain patterns, well, not all the different chain patterns, these are just a few little examples of all the interesting things that you can do. We've got some basic chain with beads, we've got some 1x2 pattern, 2x2 chain, Byzantine back there, a few samples of Cleopatra, some barrel chain. These are all cool things that you can do once you know this, how to open and close a ring. And there's many more. So let's get started. Really, the only tools that you need for this are a couple pairs of pliers. You can use a variety of different types of pliers, but I like to use a chain nose plier, which is this tapered tip plier that has a flat inside the jaw, and I like to use a flat nose plier, which is basically the same tool. It just has a little bit wider tip to it. I like to work in some larger rings, and so it gives me a nice grasp to hold on. Other tools that you could use would be a bent nose plier, maybe 2 pairs of chain nose pliers, or they even have a ring that you can wear that has a slot in it that you can use to open and close jump rings. But regardless of which tools you choose to use, the fundamental of how to open and close the jump ring will stay the same. So to show you how I accomplish this, I have created this little cardstock mock jump ring. I basically just cut it out of some cardstock to help demonstrate the art form. So this is just a round disc with a slit in it to mimic what the actual wire jump rings look like. But with this flat plane, I can show you that we don't open jump rings by pulling them apart. Really, you just open by pushing one side to the back. When you're right-handed, you want to push the right side to the back. If you're left-handed, you push the left side to the back. Whichever way you go, you want to be consistent so that your rings are always open the same. It's more important when you start to get into a complex chain pattern than anything else. But what I want you to notice is that there's a pivot point at the bottom of the ring. So when I press that one side down, it's really 2 flat sides and a pivot at the bottom. The more you can maintain control of the 2 flat sides and not letting them get all out of whack when you're opening the jump ring to the side, then the more you'll be able to keep a nice perfect round shape with your ring. And so that's really the goal. So when you go to grasp the ring, what you want to do is you want to get a nice hold on it. And so you want to align the grip of your chain nose plier with the angle of the wire, not interrupting the joint at the top. And then you can grab on the other side and follow along. Again, you're just trying to have a nice solid grasp on the jump ring. What I don't want you to do is to reach into the circle like this, because although you can still pivot the jump ring, the thing is that the edge of the tool over here or the edge up over here, well, they'll tend to dig into the wire of the ring and create dents, or what we call tool marks. And so you don't want to do that. You want to have a nice smooth jump ring. So let me just show you real quick here with an actual jump ring what I'm talking about. So holding the jump ring with the plier so that, again, I'm not interrupting the joint at the top, but I'm grasping the ring the same angle that the wire is, and grasp on the other side with the other plier. And so let me just dial in that focus for you just a little bit. And at the same time, what I want to show you too is that a jump ring is actually offset at the join at the top. It's offset by the width of a wire. That's because when they create the rings, they make a coil and then they cut them with like a little circular saw. And so there's actually a space there that is the width of the saw blade that they use to cut it. And so when we go to open this, we want to kind of make up for that space when we open it. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to open it by pushing my dominant side back. And then you can see what I mean by that when I show you from a downward view. And so then what happens to close the ring is that you bring that right side back. And so when I'm doing that though, I'm pushing the ends towards each other so that they bypass just slightly. And so then when they actually cross over, they hit each other and have a tiny little click noise. And so I need to come a little bit beyond where I want it to stay because the wire has some spring to it and it will bounce back. You see how that just sprung back? So you want to make sure you go back in and go way beyond where you want it to stay. And then you're just trying to adjust it until when you let go, you have a perfect alignment, both when you look down from the top and then also too, when you look at the side view, you're looking to see that one is not higher than the other. One end is not higher than the other. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that same thing just from a little bit further view here. And so something I want to draw your attention to is the concept that when I'm holding the rings, using the edge of the table, I'm resting my wrists on the edge of the table so that I can help stabilize my hand grip. And so then that way I can literally just push back with that right side, again, because I'm right-handed, so I like to push the right side back. And we're just focused on trying to get a pivot point right here at the bottom of the ring. That's where you want the ring to bend. And so then I'm just gonna zoom back in so you can see my motion of closing again. Give you a little bit better focus. There we go. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and close that. You see how those ends, they're bypassed just ever so slightly. And so then that way when I go to close it, I ease it past and I go beyond where I want it to stay. And then I just keep adjusting it so that when I release, the wires are in perfect alignment. So I double check, I look down from the top of the ring, and then I look at the profile view as well. And so we've got a really good join there. I don't see any gap between the ends of the wire. And so we'll set that down. And so the other tool that I haven't talked about that I do have in my little array here is this Velux bead mat. These are nice just because they have some loft to them, and so they help to hold the jump rings so that you can easily reach underneath with your tool and pick them up. And so I'm going to go ahead and open up a third ring. Notice I set my elbows down on the surface to help steady them so that when I open that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it in my right hand with the end of the plier already in place for that right side. And then I'm just going to zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing. But I'm going to turn my wrist so that I can take the end of that jump ring, scoop underneath one ring, and go underneath the other one, scoop around, and I'm picking them up. So you can see the loft of that Velux mat really helps me out to be able to reach underneath things. If you don't have access to a Velux mat, you could always use like just a piece of high pile fabric or something like that. They have lots of those nice Velux blankets and fabric like that at the fabric store, but pretty much any bead store will have a nice bead mat for you. And so then once you have your pieces on, whatever you're trying to connect, you can go ahead and then close the ring. So again, we just have that little bit of bypass, and we're going to close it. Notice that there's a tiny little click when I go to close those rings, and that's just because the metal is actually touching. And so that's why I don't end up with any gap in the spacing there. And then again, when I look down at it, I want to make sure that I have perfect alignment. I've got that just a touch. And so sometimes when you let go, it springs back more than you thought you would have. And so you just need to kind of tweak it. Make sure that you've got that perfect alignment. And then look at the side view, and we're in good shape there. So see, when you have that's how you connect pieces, whether it's various jump rings or you're trying to connect some components with a ring. It's the same concept. You slide the pieces on that you want to make the connection with, and then you go ahead and close the ring. So you can see here that I've got this really cool chain that's very much like what I just did with some beads on it, all these other cool patterns. And so with a little bit of practice, you can really have some fun. So next video, I will show you how to troubleshoot when things start to go wrong, and we'll give you a couple of tips and tricks on how to fix things. Alrighty, enjoy. Thanks so much for watching our presentation. If you would like to continue learning how to make jewelry with Jennifer Hanscom, please subscribe to our channel. Our goal is to provide comprehensive project-based jewelry instruction with a focus on using hand tools and small equipment so you can enjoy making jewelry right from your home. If you would like more information, visit our website at www.jewelryclasseswithjen.com.